An outrageous error in judgment. The Riverside County District Attorney's not pulling any punches. Our spotlight this morning focuses on the horrific suffering of baby Emmanuel Haro. We're learning that this precious child died from long-term abuse, allegedly at the hands of his parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro, who were last week pleading for his safe return, now sitting in jail, charged with his murder.
Do you believe you know how baby Emmanuel died or was killed, and is there anything you can share?
The filing in this case reflects our belief that baby Emmanuel was abused, a victim of child abuse over time, and that eventually, because of that abuse, he succumbed to those injuries.
Prosecutors revealed that Jake Haro had a prior conviction for felony child abuse. We told you about that when we were covering this case from the start. And this was from his baby girl with his first wife, okay? And he hurt that child so badly, she had broken ribs, brain damage. She has been left paralyzed for the rest of her life. That beating was so bad. And guess what? The judge gave him probation rather than prison.
In this case, a judge here in Riverside County, happened to have been a visiting judge from San Bernardino County, gave Mr. Haro a suspended sentence, which means, if I can translate for you what that is, it means that instead of sending him to prison, he chose to give him probation. I will say that it was an outrageous error in judgment by this judge. And I don't have any problem saying that. I'm not attacking the judge personally. That decision was absolutely outrageous. Mr. Haro should have been in prison at the time that this crime happened. And if that judge had done his job as he should have done, Emmanuel would be alive today.
I agree with the DA. How about you? Let's talk about it. Let's bring in our legal analyst guests and see what they think. Still with me, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Michael J. Brown, and attorney and the former director of the Georgia Department of Family and Children's Services, Tom Rawlings. Good to see you both on this. Tom, let me start with you, please. Your thoughts on what the DA was just sharing about how this was preventable. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Julie, so I looked at the first child. This was not simply felony child abuse. There was a 10-week-old baby. That baby, when the child came to the hospital, had what we call shaken baby syndrome in lay terms. It's extreme injuries, broken ribs, fresh broken ribs, old broken ribs, a broken leg that had been twisted. This man, number one, should have been in prison for a long time. And number two, he had 2 children with Rebecca Haro, including Emmanuel, after this incident. He should never have been allowed to have custody of any child, much less Emmanuel.
I'm with you, Tom. And I also saw some local reporting that he also picked up a gun case while on probation. Because of his felony conviction, he's not allowed to have a firearm. That's against the law. He did that too. So arguably, at that point, when he picked up that case, he could have been revoked. His probation revoked and resentenced on the whole thing and gone to prison then. So it was like 2 times the system failed to protect these kids. Michael J. Brown, your thoughts on what the DA was saying, going so far as to call this an outrageous error in judgment by the court?
Julia, just from first blush, I completely agree. I just want to have one caveat. And here's the caveat. I wasn't there, so I don't know what the prosecutor in that particular case put on the record. And what I mean by that is, if the DA said at that time, hey, Judge, you know what? The agreed upon deal is he's going to plead guilty. It's up to the court's discretion. We don't have a great case. Maybe witnesses aren't available. The evidence isn't that great. That would completely change my opinion, because obviously you want to get an exchange of a plea of guilty, so at least you secure the conviction versus taking your chances at trial. On the other hand, if they had a significantly strong case, then I am completely on board in the sense that this judge dropped the ball. He has the ability to have discretion. He has the ability to use his discretion. And unfortunately, in this particular case, it would have been a horrible use of his discretion. This defendant should certainly have been sentenced to a lengthy period of incarceration.
This is really helpful, Michael. You know, and I wish we had the answers to that. Perhaps we can go back and try to find some transcripts from that hearing and see what all was put on the record. We know that this DA made a point to tell everyone at the press conference that his office objected, that this was done over the objection of the DA's office. The judge still went ahead and did that. But to your point, which is a really good one, you know, I don't know what else was put on the record, or if there were people, you know, who knows? Rebecca Haro could have come in. You gentlemen both know what this is like in court. Oftentimes, you know, the spouse of the defendant may come in, oh, I need him at home, and this, that, and the other, the kids. And so who knows what picture was presented for the court. But preventing this, it's mind-blowing. Tom Rawlings, back to you on prevention of child abuse, something you've done throughout your whole career. What else do you think can be done to never have another future case like this one?
Well, Julie, there's a couple things. Number one, there were family members, obviously. You know, everybody, even if we don't necessarily get along with our family members, I'm sure that there were family members around. There were neighbors around. There had to be people who saw something going on, and as best we can tell, did not report it to the police or to Child Protective Services until, of course, you know, Rebecca Haro comes up with a story that the child had been kidnapped. And then, of course, everybody goes looking for the baby. Secondly, you know, I really think we need to look at what Child Protective Services, either in Riverside County or San Bernardino County, depending on the situation, did or didn't do, both with the first case and with this follow-up case. There are a number of states where if you are found to have severely abused a baby, and then you have another child, you know, with yourself or with your spouse or with your partner in the hospital, they actually flag those cases and they go do an investigation. And so we have got to be doing a better job as Child Protective Services of following up on families that have abused children and then go on to have other children.
Yeah, well said, Tom. What about, you made me think of something, the counties talking to one another. Michael J. Brown, I'm sure you've run into this both as a prosecutor and defense attorney, when sometimes a defendant has multiple matters going on in different counties, and things can kind of get lost in the shuffle, can't they?
Yeah, Julie, sometimes you don't have that coordinated effort between law enforcement, whether it's the police, whether it's the district attorney's office, whether it's CPS. And that really is where the system fails as well, because you need to coordinate your efforts. There needs to be communication. There needs to be this registry, which we have here in New York, so that everybody is aware of what was going on and what is going on, so that they can take the appropriate actions and make sure that these types of things are stopped, don't happen before you have this type of unfortunate fatality.
You're both making such great points. Pleased to have your insight on this, and we'll keep following this case as they continue trying to find the baby. The baby still hasn't been brought home. They're working on getting his remains to be, you know, properly buried. Tom Rawlings, we have to let you go. Thank you so much for everything. Always great to have your insight. Michael J. Brown's coming with us. And my friends at home, as we head to break, we want to remember little baby Emmanuel. This little child was just 7 months old. 7 months. And law enforcement believes that he had been abused for many, many months of his short life on this earth. Hopefully he is with the angels now, resting in peace. We'll be right back.